Yeah, Big Brother is in the house. It's
So, I
not.
mean, there are good uses for AI. Yeah, I think you could catch more red flag lunatics who might shoot up a place with some predictive AI, just
And
like
so
in Minority Report, except, things didn't turn out so well in that movie.
no, there's good uses of AI. There's a mutual friend. I think it's a friend of both me and Jacoby because she's a singer and an actress, and I saw her use AI for a very good reason. I don't know if you saw it, but Jacoby, but it was Sharon Allen, who I think you know as a singer and a advocate for a lot of things, including breast cancer survival and things like that. But she had run across a deer, and she didn't actually get a picture of the deer, so she used AI to show what she had run across. So that would be a good use of AI because she was just warning people about, because we get those all the time for those of you that travel by car in this area. So she was just basically warning people to be on the lookout for our friendly neighbors that can be very big and do a lot of damage, and we can do a lot of damage to them as well. But that would be a good example of good AI because she used the AI because she didn't act, even though she's also a photographer, she didn't have her camera with her.
So
I
I'm
mean,
reading further.
technically, they have
Huh?
the information. I was just going to say that. I mean, I don't know if that was. You can just say that's a good use of AI. It's just AI pointing out this is what a deer is. But we do have the. We used to talk about the deer seasons and
Right.
it being in winter and watching out for these areas because there's a high
Mm-hmm.
population of deer. You can utilize AI to basically figure out different populations and how their growth and what their migration is. That's a good thing.
Right.
As well as medical. That's another thing. By the way, this is an education piece where exactly what you were just talking about.
I received the transcript of Linda McMahon's first all-staff meeting with the U.S. Department of Education since taking office. Everything I'm about to tell you comes directly from that transcript. The meeting opens with McMahon recounting what Trump told her when she was hired. He told me that I would be successful when I had fired myself or put myself out of a job. She then lays out the specific process for that. Programs will be moved out on a temporary basis through agreements between other agencies. After the move, they plan to tell Congress that the system works and ask for permanent closure of the Department of Education. So, one, move programs out quietly. We saw that with them moving grants like Title I to other agencies yesterday and firing staff. But meanwhile, 13 Department of Education employees have been transferred to the Department of Labor. This means program functions are already being run outside of the Department of Education, but the Department of Education continues to foot the bill. They're saying that these employees are co-managed. Major program offices, including some funding for K-12 schools, are also being transferred to other agencies that have never administered them or know what they're doing. Agencies with full workloads of their own, by the way. She also noted that polling shows that the public opposes closing the department, but they are using tricky language as usual to make people support the change. Like saying they are returning education to the states apparently polls well. She instructed employees to use this message. We are not talking about shutting down the Department of Education. We are talking about returning education to the states. So this is a coordinated narrative shift designed to fool the public into going along with this. But this is what Republicans do. They separate themselves from the policy, like closing the Department of Education, and they hammer home with messaging that works. She also touches on IDEA, says the funding will not change. That may flow through a different account or a different building, which is something she said before. And she frames federal oversight as unnecessary bureaucracy, which she has also said before. She also cites NAEP scores, saying that only 30 to 35% of students could read proficiently or do math proficiently. But the Department of Education doesn't set curriculum. You know that. It just helps kids access curriculum by filling in funding gaps and providing support and training. And without the department and its functions, we can expect to see worse scores, especially from our most vulnerable students. And these numbers probably reflect pandemic-related learning loss and delays, whatever. Alarmingly to me, not only is she destroying the department, she's incompetent. She outlines that the federal education system is being fundamentally restructured piecemeal style without a complete framework for what it's going to look like when she's done with it. I received the
So essentially, again,
the Department of Education was formed in 1979 under President Carter. Before that, it was part of the Department of Health, Education, and Welfare. And if you've been paying attention, you know they don't love health and welfare either. And the whole deal with stripping the DOE is to give more money and power to Christian private schools. It's part of the Heritage Foundation's Plan 2025.
Yeah, part of their whole agenda and everything like that. Just really
And
quickly, we've got Sasha joining us as well. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say this is another one because this is another one that speaks the truth of another individual that put out something that is very true. Oh, let me take it off mute.
Stupid, not that forgot your password again.
Yeah.
They think you're fucking stupid. Not regular stupid, not that forgot your password again stupid. They think you're fisting a beehive stupid, wandering into traffic stupid, should not be allowed to microwave soup without supervision stupid. That's the whole blueprint. That's the whole grand design. The Republicans' coffee-stained, dog-eared little star chart titled, "Assume the voters are fucking idiots." And Donald Trump, his commitment to that delusion is biblical because he really, really thinks you're stupid. He needs you to be smooth-brained, adult-sized applesauce wandering the grocery aisle like you're trying to solve a maze printed on bong water, weapons-grade stupid. He talks to America like he's babysitting adults who lick outlets for sport and then proudly show him the scorch marks. He stands there in that tragic orange glow, a punished beach ball someone forgot to deflate after a Mar-a-Lago orgy, explaining the economy to a nation he assumes has the mental texture of damp casino carpet, still warm from whatever the hell happened on it, because he thinks you're fucking stupid. Look at him. The black funeral parlor hand caked in pancake makeup, the cankles fighting for their lives, the suit that isn't a suit but a tarp straining to hide a whole Radio Shack's worth of braces, pumps, bandages, batteries, backup generators, and whatever medieval contraption keeps him upright. And he calls that perfect health because he thinks you're fucking stupid. Then today, he bragged about saving you from the tariffs he put in place to bring down grocery prices he swears never went up. A man arguing with his own lies in real time because he thinks you're fucking stupid. He thinks you won't notice your grocery bill beating the shit out of your paycheck. He thinks you won't notice your rent turning into a hostage negotiation. He thinks shouting hottest economy in the world like a televangelist mid-stroke will make you forget we're living in the economic end scene of Thelma and Louise because he thinks you're fucking stupid. And while you're rationing bread, he's building himself a $350 million gilded ballroom, a gaudy Xanadu of gold trim and mail-in security, a monument to his delusion constructed on the financial corpses of the people he screws, because he thinks you're fucking stupid. And now, right on schedule, the Epstein panic hits, and he's flailing like a man being hunted through a carnival funhouse by every terrible thing he's ever done. These emails aren't leaking. They're blowing the fuck up like IEDs in Outlook, little explosive truth bombs turning his alibis into shrapnel. Epstein says he could take Trump down. Epstein says Trump knew. Epstein said Trump asked Ghislaine to stop. The visits, the photos, the teenage employees, the girl who was 16, he knew he was involved. He is implicated. And he still wants you to believe they're fake and real, planned and exonerating, a hoax and an emergency, a nothing burger and a national crisis. Why? Because he thinks you're fucking stupid. Last week, he treated a discharge petition like it was the nuclear briefcase guarded by a laser maze, 3 horny angels, and a Doberman in night vision goggles, and poof! The concussed birthday clown declares himself the Pope of Transparency, even though he could release the Epstein files right now, this minute, on the toilet. He controls the DOJ. He's the one hiding the files. That pending investigation excuse, just gaslighting with a federal seal on it because he thinks you're fucking stupid. He posts stiff hostage photos with Melania, a woman radiating the energy of someone trying to astral project out of her marriage, and he thinks that counts as innocence because he thinks you're fucking stupid. And he genuinely believes 77 million self-sabotaging masochists are too stupid to notice. He's fixed no bridges, raised no wages, revived no factories, cleaned no water, lowered no insulin, helped no one but predators and plutocrats because he thinks his base is stupid. He thinks you're stupid. He thinks we're all stupid. Republicans have no platform, no policy, no improvements for anyone but the rich and the monstrous. So they distract, they misdirect, they shake jangly bullshit in your face like busted street magicians, hoping you won't look behind the curtain because they think you're fucking stupid. But the real question, the only question, the one they're betting everything on is, are you?
Which is true. Everything that she pointed out is true.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense and a lot of claims there and everything. I saw your hand, Nick, but I did have a question because I saw that Nick was in the background and everything. So I'm
the only thing stupid was the video.
I had a question for you based on what that video, but also, but today is the 50th anniversary of Franco, and Franco was a dictator that used to be in Spain. I know you now live in Spain. So what is your reaction to how are people handling the anniversary of Franco in Spain? I hear that they're trying to figure out.
Franco's been dead for 50 years, so it's not a big deal. But boy, that was a stupid video, I must admit, because they're not showing the reality of what's happening in the United States. Number one, the border. They had a whole documentary, and not a political one, just a factual documentary about the border and not having zillions of people crossing illegally anymore. So, like it or not, border control is working and his policies are working. Then they had another one today. I don't know if Sasha saw the economy. The economy is roaring, so I noticed that video didn't discuss that either. So the two main platforms he ran off of, he delivered the economy and immigration. Yet that video was, I guarantee you, that video was stupid.
The economy isn't exactly roaring. What the stock market's going crazy because Nvidia came back with huge numbers. So the AI, if it's a bubble gets to continue for a while. The other economic
you can call it a bubble. I just call it reality. I mean, I'm betting against it. I'm betting wrong. So you guys can go ahead and bet against.
Here's the reality.
But wait, hold on. One reason the stock market is thriving is they love incompetent, paralyzed government. Wall Street loves fucked up government because then there's nobody guarding the hen house from whatever corporations want to do. The stock market went crazy at the end of Reagan when Reagan was
wait. Y'all are going
in the market. I mean, they like. I hate to say it, guys. They like in the 401k.
This is why.
I know you want to.
Hold on a second. I think it's Jacoby's turn, and then it'll be your turn.
Let me point a few things out here because you're
talking about the stupid video. I hope.
And this is why they do think you're stupid, and you're proving it. So you talked about the border. The border evidently was this grandiose thing that was so bad. What policy have they put in to actually work with the quote unquote 11 million, 15 million, or 20 million people that are supposedly here illegally? They haven't done anything in terms of that. All they've done was supposedly close down the border and there's no effective people coming across. Well, that really wasn't the problem. The problem was the issue that you claimed that there were 20 and 30 million people already here that were taking so many jobs from everybody else. There's been no policy. So they put on a show because you're freaking stupid. Then number two, you talk about the economy. First thing that you talked about is, the stock market. Okay, the stock market has been going up ever since the crash that we had in 2008, which President Obama had. The stock market has been going up ever since then. So the stock market is a nebulous thing that really doesn't have an effect on many other people than those that are truly invested in it. The economy that we're talking about is the fact that this man ran on a platform saying that he's going to lower prices on day one. Prices year to year are higher. Inflation year to year is higher. So when we're talking about the economy is getting worse. People, his actually, and Rick, you can back me up on this by looking up these polling numbers. His numbers on the economy, because when he came in, his numbers were higher than they were now. So the actual polling on the economy, 78%, if I remember. Well, actually less than that, 70%, at least 70%.
I have the number.
Say that, okay, so
he's underwater by 20% on the economy. So that is 20% more people disapprove of how he's handling it than approve.
Exactly. So his numbers when he started were higher because people had faith that the economy was going better, but it's not. It's actually getting worse and worse. Also, if you take a look at the dollar value is actually lower than it was when he took office. The tariffs, for example, his grandiose plan to bring so much money back into the economy, because his dumb tail put tariffs on places that had just penguins in it, and are going to pay us more tariffs now because we're dealing with countries with just penguins in it. But either way, his supposedly grandiose deal was he was going to use tariffs to bring back manufacturing and have manufacturing back into the country. He's lost jobs in the manufacturing area ever since he's been in office. So therefore, tariffs haven't worked to do that. Then it's supposedly a negotiation tool. Well, if it's a negotiation tool, why you're taking them off? And then on top of that, what she pointed out, oh, prices went up because of tariffs. And Trump said, oh, no, they didn't. Well, now he's pulling the tariffs off because he wants the prices to go down. Well, you can't have it both ways. Tariffs couldn't have not affected the prices when you put them on, but supposedly affect the prices when you pull them off. Why does he do that? Because exactly what she said. And thank you, Nick, for giving us an example of why you're trying to show that you're stupid.
Speaking of that and everything like that, I did see that there is information that the Democrats may be interested in.
Can we reply to that?
I'm going to let you respond to that.
Series of information to everybody, because obviously Jacoby doesn't follow the market. Although 62%.
We're not talking about the market. Actually, Nick, what you're doing is you're actually bringing up something that I didn't even talk about. I never interrupted you. You're bringing up something that I didn't talk about. What you're doing is
I never interrupted you.
That doesn't even defend.
Okay, the only reason you're interrupting me is you're going to lose all your
Let's do this the easy way. Let's do this the easy way.
So you just want to continue interrupting. Okay, do like the liberals do. Just go talk to yourself.
Nick, hey, Nick, I'm talking to you right now. Let's do this the easy way. Prove me wrong. Our prices across the board on groceries, are they higher year to year? Now, I mean, are they higher now than they were in November of 2024? Are they higher today than they were in November 2024? Simple question.
Yeah, he disappeared and everything. I think
right. So the dollar versus the euro, Europe's currency is down 10.7% in 2025.
The dollar value, how is that going?
So I mean, if you want to buy euros, if you're going to Spain to visit Nick, your dollar will get you 10.7% less euros now than at the end of last year.
Sasha, I think you had a point.
Yes, I do. This is the greatest misconception, that the Trump's tariffs are bringing jobs back to America, that countries against whom the tariffs were employed, they are paying us a lot of money, and therefore America will benefit from it. No, that's not the case at all. Countries are not paying anything, not even 1 penny. All the tariffs are borne by U.S. citizens, by U.S. corporations. So this is a new form of tax that Trump single-handedly put on American taxpayers. Whether they liked it or not, whether they want it or not, this is a reality. Everything is going up, contributing to inflation, doesn't bring any jobs. In fact, taking jobs, international communities turning back on United States big time. Now, all these orders for new planes, whether from Ukraine or from Canada or from any other countries, they're not going American way. No Boeing anymore. It will be Sweden plane, Gripen. It will be French Rafale and other planes and other the military systems. So Trump is actually losing not only the war on the inflation, that everything is much more expensive today than a year ago, which is true. He is losing it internationally. He is trying to cover up this Epstein situation. Actually, this is me and Nick. I'd like to know your opinion. So now the Congress, 100% almost there. Trump signs, release files immediately. At the same time, on the other hand, he's saying to the Justice Department to start to investigate top Democrats, Clinton and some others or so on. So that provides excuse for Department of Justice not to release the files. In fact, the Congress, the president himself says, release the files. So now they say, no, we cannot release the files because we're still under investigation. We cannot do that. Nick, where are we going with all this bullshit?
So
Well, I'm glad
hold
you
on,
said
hold on,
that. Now, I need to respond to this because unfortunately, Sasa made some factual mistakes. Number one, on inflation, which he said the tariffs created inflation. It's showing here, and I'm looking at smart assets. You can go look at yourself. Inflation in Trump in 2025 was 2.7%. Biden in 2024, 2.9%, basically ahead of Trump. Biden in 2023, 4.1%, much higher than Trump. Biden in 2022, 8%, much higher than Trump.
September
So
of 2024,
to say that the tariffs created inflation is again just a false narrative. Now, who's interrupting me? I don't interrupt them. Oh, it's the Toby. So Toby, I'm going to yield the floor. You can say what you like because I'm just speaking. I'm just speaking facts. You guys can make your fantasies up.
I want you to use that same application. I want you to use that same application. September of 2025, what was inflation? 3%. Okay, I'll answer for you since you're not going to.
All right, here I have some jobs numbers. All right, job
2.4%. So again, what you're actually making up, Nick, is you're trying to create some narrative that's untrue. I'm sorry, you're just wrong.
Okay, but if Steve Rouse here, before he goes, let me quickly give you numbers. Job growth, 2023, 225,000 a month. 2024, 186,000 a month. So far, 2025, 125,000 a month. So job growth is down 1/3 to 40% under Trump so far.
Well, I'm glad Steve's here because I got a question I was going to ask everybody, but I'll direct it to Steve because I know Steve's been involved in what's going on and everything like that because he is a representative and running for another office. Now, I'm trying to figure out, Steve, with these ICE raids, if they're raiding places like Home Depot and a number of other places like that and everything in that space and actually arresting some folks and detaining some folks, who is supposed to be replacing these jobs and everything like that? Because a lot of times jobs that people don't want.
I'm sorry that I've been doing literally the last 2 days press interviews all week on ICE. It's just been crazy. And first of all, and real quickly, just America presented Ukraine with a 28-point peace plan. We'll talk about that later in the week, tomorrow. And Donald Trump did sign a bill requiring American Justice Department to release all files related to Jeffrey Epstein. So, but let's focus my time with you today on the ICE raid. So that's a great point. I mean, you know, we just don't know. We don't focus a lot on the economy. And what I'm seeing already is, you know, construction sites were slow, restaurants, it was hard to find, places where people were working because everyone was afraid. So there's definitely no answer on what we would do to replace these jobs, and particularly in agriculture, farming, these jobs, lawn maintenance, things like that. The first thing I would say too is that there's a confusion between asylum and immigration. We don't see a lot of focus on why people are leaving. For example, Venezuela. You have a dictator that is a ruthless dictator that is persecuting and torturing people. We have a Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, who's a son of immigrants from Cuba. And, you know, this is only 90 miles from the coast of Florida, United States of America. And people are leaving, but you cannot come in with asylum unless you're granted asylum by the country. Madeleine Albright, our former Secretary of State, her family was granted asylum. She went on to become the Secretary of State, so under Clinton administration. So the bottom line is, we need a foreign policy that's making the conditions in these countries better, so many of your people are not coming. The third point is that uncertainty and fear. So many Indians are here legally, but my phone's been going off the hook about, well, what if I get pulled over? Even for me, what if I get pulled over? Even though I'm a council member running for Wake County Commission, what if I get pulled over? I don't carry my passport in my car. What paperwork do I need if my paperwork has been expired? So my thing is, I don't believe bringing a federal agency is going to create any solution to our immigration problem. We already have sheriffs and police officers that keep us safe. This is just a media stunt as far as I'm concerned by Trump, but it shouldn't be a surprise because he told us he was going to do it.
Yeah, and he seems like he's going to various places because he started in urban areas like Charlotte and then Raleigh and Durham. I did see that our mayor of Durham was on Morning Joe yesterday, and part of what he was doing was talking to one of the mayors from Ohio. I think it might have been Cleveland, if I remember correctly, and everything like that about what's going on in this space. But some people were even critical of him, wondering why he wasn't here in Durham dealing with what was going on. But that was their critique while he was on a national news show and everything like that. But I did see that I think today they were in the more rural town of the north and everything like that. So it does seem like they are spreading throughout
the Chicago Tribune, the newspaper, studied the list of people taken by ICE in the raids on Chicago, and 97% of them had no criminal record whatsoever. No rapists, no murderers, and 29 out of 30 of them on average just had nothing. No DUIs, no freaking anything.
So we are, at some point, we have to be honest. I mean, we just legitimately just have to be honest and really begin to fight back about what's taking place. We don't want to admit it because it's a bad thing. We don't want to admit it because it harms us. We don't want to be seen as, and we get attacked for pointing it out. But we have to admit it at some point. We have, quote unquote, Stephen Miller. We know his background. We know the background of many of the individuals they have hired in these positions. If you look at what the statistic that Rick has just pointed out, if you look at it, you could probably find the statistics on the demographics of the individuals that they're pulling. You can tell that there's a high percentage of Black and brown individuals that are being caught up, accosted, arrested, detained for no reason. This is what we're dealing with, and we just have to be honest about it. The man literally said that he's cutting down the asylum, those that can seek asylum from, what was it, 70,000 to 17,000 or whatever, but he wants the majority to be white individuals.
He cut it down from a couple 100,000 to, I think, 7,500, with most of them being white farmers from South Africa.
So, I mean, at what point do we finally just say, this what we are witnessing? I mean, this is, historically speaking, we were at a point like this way in our past when we were going through the problems with Bull Connor. What are we now?
And the poll taxes.
Yes. So at what point can we just admit this is what we're fighting against? This was what, I mean, it's a scary time. Steve is receiving phone calls from people of Indian descent. I'm sitting here. Me and others like yourself, Mark, and so on and so forth. There's a worry across the communities of color, and it's a rightful worry because we see what's going on and it's what's happening, and we just have to finally we have to be honest about it.
Yeah. Sasha, you had a point, and then Rick.
Yeah, Steve, I have one question for you. I asked that question Nick, but Nick was very evasive and he started to talk all kind of nonsense about economics or so on. The question is very simple. So there was a decision of Congress, almost unanimous, to release Epstein files. Trump has signed that as well. So now Department of Justice must release these files almost instantly. But no, Trump asks them to investigate certain Democratic figures like Bill Clinton and others. So now Department of Justice will take a view that while some of these people are under investigation, the files cannot be disclosed. So on one way, you have this point of view. Another one, Congress and President asked to release. What's your opinion, Steve, how it's going to be played out?
Sasha, I have not been keeping up with this issue because of all the focus on ICE. I have no idea. I think it's weird how this whole thing is played out, and I just hope that Trump will comply with whatever files need to be released and examined. And I think the question is, what is he hiding? And I'll be more prepared to answer this tomorrow. But what are your thoughts on this issue?
My thoughts are that this is exactly a planned sabotage of releasing the files, saying that while certain people are under investigation, there is an excuse not to release these files or most of those files. I don't know which way it will go. And therefore, the will of people, the victims, the Congress, the president himself, all that could be derailed and ignored by simple, I would say, just a con job by president saying, the Department of Justice, investigate Clinton and others. Their names must be in the files. Go ahead and do it. So they can investigate for another 3 years or so until next federal president's election.
I want to go back to ICE for a second with some numbers here. So
I've got to leave in a minute, guys. Sasha, thank you for that insight. I got to leave in 2 minutes, but go ahead. Real quick, I'll be back tomorrow or Monday. But
right.
Sasha, thank you for that insight. And I think this is just a very different, very scary time when you're living in America. And my question is, if someone from Norway or Greenland was here and they happen to come in here illegally, would they be cuffed and taken in for crimes that they didn't commit? So there's a lot of weird issues going on here, and I think we just have to get through it. I'm an optimist. I think we'll get through it. Elections have consequences. The American people elected Donald Trump. He said he was going to do this, and he's doing what he said.
But Steve, you already know the answer to that question, though, because look at the president's wives, two of the president's wives, and are they being deported even though they came from Eastern European countries? And there is even some question about their own legality and everything like that. So, like I said, I think you already know the answer to that question.
I know. I rest my case. Great point. I'll be back tomorrow. I got to get ready for a work call.
Thank you. All right. So ICE wanted, in addition to being vicious and racist, ICE is incompetent. So hold on. Trump wanted ICE to deport 1 million people in the first year. So they're on track to deport 35% of that. They've grabbed, by the end of the year, they will have grabbed 350,000 people. Of those, 65 to 71% have no criminal record. 93% of them have no violent convictions. So this is the 10-year anniversary of Trump announcing for the presidency in 2016, saying that Mexicans coming over the border were bad hombres, rapists, murderers. Well, 93% of the people that ICE is picking up have no violent convictions.
It's exactly what I was trying to say about that situation. We just have to be honest about what they're doing. This isn't about the worst of the worst. This isn't about getting bad people out or bad hombres or whatever else. People eating cats and dogs. It was all made up. It was to scare people. But I wanted to touch on one thing that Sasha was talking about with Epstein, because one thing struck me, and with the whole Epstein thing, when some of the emails came out, and it got me thinking. So I'm gonna pose the question to everybody else, because in one of the emails it talked about that it was somebody, I can't remember who, reached out to Epstein and was talking about using his person because he didn't know if he could use Trump's person, which was trying to recruit the underage girls. We know that Epstein wasn't the only one. It's got to be a network of individuals that does the sex trafficking of underage girls and so on and so forth. What if what Trump is hiding is he's in that network? What if he is one of those ringleaders? Just based on, and that's based on the idea of coming off of that email.
I have a question for Jatavi. Jatavi, I have a question. Like, when American people decide or voting for someone as a president, So American people give him all of the authority to take all of the change and everything, right? Or all of the initiative what he is taking. He has his authority to take all of the changes, right?
He does not have a mandate of an election. Does
No,
not
no.
give you a mandate.
If what you're
Okay.
asking, if he has a mandate or anything like that, the majority of the country did not vote for Donald Trump. So therefore, he doesn't have the majority of the
The
country.
majority of voters didn't vote for him.
But
Okay.
the majority of the country did not vote for him. The plurality of the voters voted for him. That's a different thing. The majority of the voters voted for somebody else. So what he has, yes, he is placed in control, and he is the one that is the head of the country. So he does have the authority to do particular things. But that doesn't mean that the country itself must just bend its knee and go along or not be able or not have the opportunity to speak out about what he is doing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
Trump got 49%.
But my second question, like what I see in Saudi Arabia, Prince Salman visiting USA, and he's committing to invest trillions of dollars. Is it creating impact in US economy, or it's just a political propaganda? What's your thought?
Political propaganda, because as you can see based on what's happening to the economy, for example, the dollar value dropping, the quote unquote money that he supposedly made these trade deals with, none of it is ratified. So it's just a showcase promise. It's, hey, look, I've got to deal with Mark. Mark said that he and I were going to create this great house that people can come and play music in. You know, don't you want to sign up for this great house? But yet Mark and I have never signed anything, but I can tell you all this and fool you into giving me money. So yes, what the reality of the situation isn't, it is political propaganda at this moment because it has no effect.
Saudi has invested billions of dollars with Trump's kids and his son-in-law. Billions of freaking dollars. So it's easy to buy Trump if you have a lot of money to throw at him and his family.
And the one thing I will give the Saudis credit for is that at least they are bringing attention to an issue that needs attention on it and everything like that, which is the issue with Sudan and everything like that. But even that is a political gamemanship, for lack of a better term, because it's a part of political gamemanship, even to bring the issue, even though it is an issue that needs a wide range of attention. And even in that same space, the one thing that I would add is, to your point, Jatovi, human trafficking is not a new thing, and it is a very big issue in the world and everything like that. So the fact that Epstein is no longer here and the Epstein files hopefully will be released, and there are some major people, including some people on the MAGA wing like Marjorie Taylor Greene, that want them released and everything, that is a issue. As a matter of fact, I think it's an issue that even one of our other founders has been at the forefront of fighting against, that being Kim and everything like that. So definitely it's an issue that needs to be addressed, and we need to find out, as those women said, who the players are, and not just the one that is dead and the one that's in prison, because there are a number of players that are still out there that need to be revealed.
And that's why I think that email kind of struck me when they said, I want to use your person and not his person. So if Trump has a person, that means there's something else there.
So 1,000, FBI says 1,000 girls and women were victimized, maybe some boys too. And a two-person mom and pop, sex trafficking shop could not handle 1,000 victims. There had to be.
All I can say is I'm not a sex trafficking expert like some of the panelists here are.
I want to share a positive news. Here, one of the articles. I don't know. You can see it or not. It's about it's about second wave of entrepreneurships. Like what I did with this Stanford Product Realization Lab last year with Professor Edelman and Professor Ron Swinson. So when I come to Bangladesh, I try to solve the Bangladeshi problem, especially the industry and academic relationship. And I call it the second wave of entrepreneurships, with the help of AI, with the help of social entrepreneurship, because first wave of entrepreneurship Bangladesh solved with their microfinance, with NGO, and the grassroots level community. And second, entrepreneurship with digitalizations, with artificial intelligence. It's moving forward. It's booming with the help of youth community. So those who are interested, you can collaborate with World Talent Economic Forum. Jatuvi, you should visit Bangladesh because you are not happy with USA. Let's so you should visit Bangladesh. Okay, thank you. That is my
No
thought.
problem.
Okay?
Sasha had a point.
One quick
Sasha
thing
first.
before we
Sasha
go.
first.
One quick thing before we go.
I know I'm gonna get
I
both
wanna
of you, but Sasha first. Sasha had his
Yeah.
hand up first, but I'll get both of you.
While you're discussing Epstein primarily as a sex trafficking business and all that stuff, in fact, even from what's already available information from the released materials, show that there were thousands of transactions. You know, it's a first rule of investigation: follow the money. So there were numerous thousands of transactions between Epstein's account and a lot of agencies, federal agencies like Department of Justice, like many others, sometimes several transactions a day. So where all that is hiding, why this one is not being investigated? So this is much more serious that, okay, so this girl was abused, or maybe another girl was abused, or all of them were abused, or so. It's way beyond that.
All right, so I want to go back to the Department of Education.
On that.
So our current technological superiority is due to the federal support of education in the 60s and 70s. All those people grew up to become tech billionaires and give us the devices that we have today. It was due to the passage of the National Defense Education Act in 1958. Getting Americans educated was, according to Eisenhower, the president, a great general who understood the frickin' world better than the dumb shit currently in office. He said that education was important for the national defense. And we've reaped the benefit of that educational push to the tune of tens of trillions of dollars over the past 50 years.
No doubt about that. And on that note, we're getting ready to get out of here. We'll have more discussions about this and other things on the world politics later today, possibly, and then definitely World Edition tomorrow and everything like that. So, catch y'all later. And we've got Coco McMillan, and she's got musical guests at 6 o'clock. But we'll get y'all out of here, and I'll see y'all later on today.